Roles of Captains, Lieutenants, and Patrol Officers by Becky, Macziewski, Schellberg. What is an organizational structure? An organizational structure can be defined simply as a sum total of the ways in which the organization divides its labor into distinct tasks, and then achieves coordination among them. Principles of organizational structure include objectives, specialization, authority, responsibility, definition, correspondence, span of control. This diagram shows basic organizational structure for police departments. At the top, you can see Chief of Police, which breaks down into two areas, which includes operations, which patrol, investigation, and youth officers do, and services, which staff services and auxiliary services. Here is an example of department structures from the area I live in. The first one is of the Sheriff's Department. As you can tell, on top is the Sheriff. Then it goes down to Jail Administrator, and from Jail Administrator it goes to Dispatchers. On the right-hand side, you can see Chief Deputy, and then deputies under that. For the Police Department, Chief is the head, then it's a Captain, then Sergeant, and then Patrol Officer. Police captains and lieutenants are considered the middle manager of police departments. They are responsible for many tasks, which include issuing assignments to individuals and units, receiving assignments, reviewing incoming written complaints and reports, preparing routine reports, and so many other tasks. First task and scenario of police captains. Issuing assignments and tasks to individuals and units within the section. An example of assignments would be animal calls, medical calls, driving complaints, vehicle accidents, and prisoner transports. Second task and scenario of police captains. Reviewing the final disposition of assignments. An example of this would be the captain checking to see what happened with the case, such as, was the case dropped? Was the person prosecuted? What was the person's punishment? Is this case still pending or closed? The final disposition means the case is closed both for law enforcement and the courts. Third task and scenario of police captains. Fielding and responding to complaints against subordinates. An example of this would be is if I engaged in misconduct of sexual harassment against a coworker, the captain would be responsible for investigating from start to finish the allegations against me. Once the investigation is complete, then the captain would either hand that complaint off to the chief or take care of it himself. First task and scenario of police lieutenants. Reviewing and approving overtime in the section unit. An example of this would be if I was lieutenant, I would have to decide what would be an important cause for overtime, and either approve or deny the overtime. Possible good causes include training, someone called in sick, employee emergency, public emergency, or someone taking a vacation. Second task and scenarios of police lieutenants. Monitoring crime and other activity statistics. Example of crime and activity stats include checking out the department's crime stats from the department's incident reporting software, checking out the department and state's crime stats from the state and national database, such as Uniform Crime Reports and National Incident-Based Reporting System, NIBRS, checking out other activity stats, such as types of crimes the department responded to, time of calls, neighborhoods of the crimes that happened in, and what officers responded. Scenario of monitoring crime stats. A real-life example of this would be that I'm in charge of my department's statistics. Every month on the 5th and 10th, I am responsible for running reports and sending them into the state of Minnesota electronically. Some of the data includes types of crimes, gender of assailant, gender of victims, types of weapon, and whether or not the assailant victim had a permit to carry a gun. Also, I am in charge of running statistical reports for the sheriff so he can give the data to the public. Third task and scenario of police lieutenants. Discussing concerns and problems with people. Has knowledge of certain issues and referred to by another person who does not know or is unsure of the answer. An example of this is when someone calls and would like to know about civil process. I would refer them to a deputy or the lieutenant because I have no knowledge of civil process and how it works. Patrol officers perform 4 basic tasks: enforcing the laws, preventing crime, performing services, protecting the innocent. Patrol officers are police officers who work directly for the state or local law enforcement department, enforcing laws and responding to emergencies in a particular geographic area. Patrol officers have many tasks. Some of them include maintaining or assisting animal control units, reporting burnt-out streetlights or stolen traffic lights and signs, delivering death messages, checking the welfare of people in their homes, delivering blood, patrolling, providing the public with information, and investigating crimes. First task and scenario of patrol officers. Reporting burned-out streetlights or stolen traffic lights and signs to the proper authority, whether it would be to city officials, county officials, or state officials. One example would be if the traffic lights are not working, the patrol officer contacts dispatch center to contact the state to fix it before an accident occurs. And that patrol officer will stay at that location until the proper official is there to fix the problem. The second task and scenario of patrol officers would be one of the hardest things to do: delivering death messages. Must deliver death messages to family and loved ones of the deceased and must be in a timely manner. An example would be with social media. Loved ones are finding out the person has expired before notification can be made by the department. Third task and scenario. Patrolling is to pass along a road, beat, or around or through a specific area in order to maintain order and security. An example would be an officer who was on routine patrol and caught a person drinking and driving and arrested them. There are many traits that make a good captain, lieutenant, and patrol officer. Some of them include enthusiasm, ego, courage, understanding discretion, good communication skills, tenacity, good judgment, thirst for knowledge, sense of humor, creativity, self-motivation, and knowing the job and the system. The end. Thank you for watching.